Do you know that each and every one of us are worthy and abundant beings? In this episode, I interview the author of Worthy Human, Tracy Litt. Tracy is a powerhouse that shares my goal to normalize healing. I am so excited for you to hear this yummy episode. Welcome to the Abundance Hack Show, where we are inspiring you to ditch the outdated beliefs, release the blocks, and fully embrace your sovereignty so you can confidently expand to allow more love, joy, and aligned success in your life. I am Niajae, your conscious accountability partner, reminding you that abundance is your birthright. Hey M&Ms, thank you for tuning into the Abundance Hack Show. What are you manifesting in your life today? If you're joining me for the first time, although M&Ms are really yummy candies, it actually stands for magical manifestors because we are manifesting by default. So if you're listening to this podcast, that means you are manifesting something magical. So today's guest is Tracy Litt, and I'm so excited to talk to her. She is a bundle of energy, and the way she describes herself is if Brene Brown and Tony Robbins had a baby, it would be her.
Hi. I'm so pumped to hang out with you.
I'm so glad you're here. So Tracy is a spiritual advisor and mindset teacher, and you know we're all about mindset on this podcast. So I'm so excited to dive into your story. But before we do, I want to ask you, what does abundance mean to you?
Oh, abundance is one of the three components of our birthright. So that's the first thing that I want to share. Your birthright is that you are worthy, lovable, and abundant. Like that is naturally who you are. And what we get to do in human form is unblock what stops you from believing that truth. And then once you embrace that truth, everything is truly flow and ease. So that's kind of like a roundabout answer. And abundance to me is limitlessness. It's freedom. It's the truth of our nature. It's the wealth that we are naturally. It's the pure fundamental truth that there is more than enough to go around for everyone and everything. Full stop.
I love it. I love it. So tell us your story. I'm so curious to learn about how you got to where you are. So if you could just give the audience like a breakdown of how you got started doing the work that you do.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll bypass born May 15th, 1977 in Brooklyn, New York. You can go all the way back to like all of that stuff and various
and you're
spots
a Taurus.
where I hang out. I am a Taurus.
Oh, my mom is a Taurus. I know all about Taurus.
Yes. So how I really got to what I'm doing today was by listening to the deep gnawing in my soul while I was sitting in corporate America, which is a very frequent story that I hear with my students and clients. And I'm sure, with you too, we're raised to think that we can only be certain things, or we're influenced to, do the responsible thing and make choices based on scarcity and fear and, making sure that you're secure and safe versus what are you passionate about and what are you born to do and what could you do for hours on end and have more energy when you're done than when you started, right? We're moving into that way, but when I grew up, it wasn't that way. So I was in a beautiful corporate job. I was the vice president of human resources. It was great. Like I was making a lot of money. I was making a lot of people happy. I wasn't unhappy. I was fine. So take that as your first little, like, if you're fine, you're not fine, right? Someone once told me that fine means feelings inside not expressed. And that was very much true for me. So as I sat there in a very secure role, I was slowly dying inside, knowing that in my deep down, I was truly gifted and meant for something far greater, and that my talents and my intuition and my wisdom needed to be used to help people on a deeper and more profound level, holistically in their lives. So I started listening to that call. And side note, it's not like I listened and I leaped and that was it. I sat in 2 years, everybody, 2 years in fear, which is why I'm a fear expert now. And that's a huge part of the work I do with the women I work with. I sat in fear for 2 years doing nothing after I had found what I wanted to do. So ultimately, it was like, okay, what's my soul's calling? So what am I passionate about? So I just played and I researched everything from hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, coaching, all kind of caregiving modalities, service-based providing things, and then ultimately landed on coaching when I realized, you go down the wormhole of something you don't know, and all of a sudden it's like, what? Like a whole industry exists. This was, let's see, 6 years ago, and found the school I wanted to go to, sat in fear for 2 years. And then finally one night when I was super silent, heard my higher self basically call me out. Like, how long are you going to wait? Are you willing to die and not go for it? And in that moment, I was like, that's it. I'm going to let her lead, as I had previously in my life. And here I am, 4 years in, globally serving thousands of women, best-selling author, TEDx speaker. And it's incredible.
Wow, I absolutely love it. And I love that story because there's so many people that don't go for it, and they keep making excuses like, when this happens, I'll do this. When this happens, I'll do this. When I get a little more time, I'll go to school or get more training. And there's always this continuous cycle. So for someone who may be listening that is in that state of fear, they're sitting for that 2 years, what would you say to them?
Close your eyes. Put your hand on your heart and listen to me. On your last day on earth, the person that you became will meet the person you could have become. Just sit in that. Are you willing to get to end of life, which is the only truth that there actually is, and look back and coulda, woulda, shoulda yourself and it's over? Or are you going to cut the shit, recognize that your deep down is sending you a message and stop ignoring it and take the leap, because no one's getting out alive anyway? Right? That's what I have to say about it, because also you don't need any more coddling. You need to take radical personal responsibility and recognize that you have everything inside of you that you need to generate any results that you desire, both spiritually and humanly, if you will, right? Both from the perspective of alignment and creation and manifestation, and who you're being and what you believe and what you think. So you get to decide for yourself.
I love it. I love it. So I would love to dive deeper into, because you have the like real life take action, and then you also have the spiritual side. And I think that there's a lot of spiritual bypassing these days where people are like, I'm just going to sit here and say affirmations and it's going to happen, like poof,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would love for you to share your feedback on manifestation and attracting what you desire while also taking action. So what's your take on all of that?
Yeah, I love that. So first of all, there is no manifestation without action. So don't kid yourself. Okay. You don't get to build a vision board and then sit on your couch and wait for the door to knock. That is totally not how it goes. Fundamentally, we are spiritual, energetic beings having human experiences. And I think we need to sit there for a second, because I know via all the beautiful students that have come through my work that you say that, but you don't actually believe it. You post a graphic, but you're not really embodying that truth. Okay. So if you're a spiritual being having a human experience, which also equates to 5D world and 3D world, right? 5D being your highest self, love, spiritual self, and your 3D world being your human, tangible self. It's all the same stuff, just calling it different things, right? So first you're like, okay, fine, I'm going to really believe it. Then it's your core responsibility in a beautiful way to play in both spaces so that you can generate what it is that you desire, right? We can't be, to your point, we can't be all like spiritual and forget about the fact that what you desire lives in the tangible, right? It lives in the human part of you. So it's this beautiful crossroads, which is what my work is. It's a crossroads of metacognition and spirituality, of neuroscience and quantum law, right? So that you can play with your enlightenment and your empowerment, enlightenment being spiritual, empowerment being human, so that you can generate your desires. That's like the first thing. The second thing is generating what we desire is truly about you becoming different. It's not this external game in what am I going to manifest this week? And let me make it all external, right? When you embody and become the version of you that already lives inside the reality of your desires, now you are feeling the feelings of your future. You are taking the action that she would take. You are fully becoming her. When you focus on shifting your identity that way and being, it's like there's a quote I use a lot in my work. Don't just wake up and think about the woman you want to become. Wake up and be her. Right? So if the woman in your vision is a multiple six-figure business owner and you're still hedging on hiring a VA, you're misaligned. You're not going to, you could do all the money manifestations, hypnosis that you want. It's not going to happen because your action isn't there to support it. Right? Because what would she do, which is the core of my work, right? What would she do? She would hire the VA like yesterday. Right? Because that is one of the things that the woman in your vision would naturally do. The action is the missing piece of the secret. The secret came out, right? And it's amazing, but it totally missed out on the fact that the aligned action is what moves it forward. It's what tells the universe as it looks down on you. And it's like, all right, so she's sitting over there and she's like, she's meditating. That's awesome. And, she's intending, and that's amazing. But she's not doing anything. She's not asking for help. She's not moving forward. She's not pitching herself to that stage. Didn't she say she wanted to be a speaker in her vision? What's right? The being and the doing is essential.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So you mentioned the word embodying, and I think that there's a lot of people that are going through the motions of healing. So if you had to explain to someone who may not understand what embodying the work and like the inner work means, how would you break that down?
Okay. I love this question. It's so rich. So embodying, let's like just bang that out. Embodiment is the becoming of, right? Like the immersion into. Okay. The embodiment of being the version of yourself that doesn't care what people think. Right away, you should have some visuals come up in your mind. Like, oh, I get it. Right. The embodiment of that belief is the becoming of, right? Does that click with you? Does that make sense? Like right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what embodiment is. It is truly allowing yourself to fully become and embrace and be enveloped in that version of you in all factors. Embodiment isn't compartmentalized. It's not like I'm going to think like her, but I'm going to still shrink and play a little small. That's not embodiment, right? Embodiment is all facets, inner and outer, belief, thought, focus, attention, language, action, behavior, mood, emotional addictions, all that stuff. Although my brain just went in two places. What was the other thing? Oh, healing. And healing is part of the ability to embody, because we don't bypass the wounds, right? And I think we've all been hanging out long enough, and now trauma's been discussed enough to recognize, like, if you're listening to us right now, you have wounds, and that's beautiful because you lived. Right? Like, let's stop making wounds bad. Let's stop making trauma bad. Let's stop waiting for this big day where you're finally going to be healed and then you can do shit. No, that's not how it works. That's a crutch. That's actually like another excuse that seems super, super reasonable. So you believe it, right? We all have wounds that we deserve to and get to heal, whether they are like big T trauma things or they're small T trauma things. And really our fundamental purpose, through the lens of what I believe and how I teach, our fundamental purpose as spiritual beings having a human experience is healing, growing, and expanding. And not like in that order, It all kind of happens holistically as you show up for yourself and recognize that everything you desire is an inside job. When you let go of the patriarchal way that we were all raised and influenced by society and our great grandparents and our grandparents and our parents, and recognize that we live in a time where we know better. We're learning things, consciousness, neuroplasticity, healing. We're finally walking around and understanding that our mind and body is connected. Okay, like I can't even begin to tell you. It's how many, and this is still, by the way, if you're listening to this podcast, you're already awake, or you wouldn't be listening to the podcast. The masses are still sleeping, right? And to recognize that we're in a time where we know, oh, my emotions are stored in my body, right? My thoughts are from my head, my emotions are from my body. I'm going to do more things for myself, right? It's so exciting for us because we live in a time where we're finally understanding I'm the asset. You're the asset. So where are we learning to spend our time, energy, and money? Oh, I went to craniosacral therapy last week. I have a pranic healer. I have a Reiki healer. I have a couple coaches, right? I do things that nourish and nurture me, because when you are honoring your purpose of healing, growing, and expanding, now you're manifesting. Now you're generating because you are changing energetically.
I love it. And you mentioned grandparents. So how much do you think fear plays into, or how much does generational patterns play into fear?
A ton. I would say generational patterns have a massive influence on all things. I mean, so our great grandparents, by and large, were part of the Great Depression. I'm just going to like universally, cut out some years here. So in the Great Depression, we, rightfully so at that time, scarcity was very relevant, right? So that became kind of part of the cellular makeup of our great grandparents, who then birthed our grandparents, right? So it was all about save, save, don't spend, save, 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 don't spend, be frugal, right? Because they lived in a time where that was relevant. So what we get to realize, and I talk about this in my book, Worthy Human, I call it the drip process. So your great grandparents dripped those things both from a DNA perspective and just like from the beliefs they had and the language they choose. And if they would say to you, no, don't spend that. You don't need to spend that, right? Or you've got to save your money, save your money. You don't need to go on another trip, save your money, right? Just the small little, money doesn't grow on trees. What are you doing? You could reuse that towel. Don't throw it out. Just little things that you don't even realize. Because how could you? They're just seeping in, right? It's how you were raised. So if your great grandparents were highly anxious, right, and super fear-based, 1000%, the generational influence is that of anxiety and fear, right? And you have the opportunity to change it. It's like you're never responsible for what happens to you in childhood and prior, but as a gorgeous, capable, totally enough grown-ass woman, you are 1000% responsible to handle that and shift it, right? For the next generations, and quite frankly, for the satiation, impact, and success of your own lifetime.
Yes. And we have so many amazing healing modalities that allow people to heal on a cellular level. Like I do sound therapy, and there's so many right now. So I feel like there are no excuses right now. You just got to do it.
Yes. And get over the fear and the skepticism that your mind is offering you about, really, is it going to work? Because your skepticism is the thing that's blocking you from the manifestation. Let's be clear. I can't begin to tell you how many gorgeous students I've worked with, and everyone's on their own timeline, right? And then they hit this point in the work, for those that were deeply skeptical, because skepticism is a protection mechanism, side note. And then we go in and we release that skepticism, right? And you allow yourself, even if you're just experimenting, to actually believe. And that's when it gets good, right? And then I'm thinking right now of a beautiful student of mine who had that. She'd been working the work in various growth entities, personal growth spaces. And she came to me and we've been working together for about a year. We had a super powerful moment where we identified her skepticism, released the skepticism, and literally it's like money is flying at her body. Like she's in Starbucks, it's getting paid. Her dog had to have surgery, and the veterinary office, sorry, I couldn't think of the name of it. I was like, oh my God, did you know you've been a client for so long and this surgery is going to be paid for? Like crazy shit, right? Because we stop the resistance of skepticism. So 1,000%, it's available, right? It's just not like I intend, and I have several missions. One of my missions is to help impact a world before I have my end of life day, where when someone says, I'm going to my pranic healer, it is as normal as saying, I'm going to the bank, I'm running to the gym. And people are like, what? Or I'm going to go to a sound healing class. Oh, delicious, right? Like it is our responsibility to normalize taking care of our inner world. Right? To say, I'm in marital therapy, my kids have therapists. All of these are facts, by the way, right? And it's awesome. It doesn't mean something's wrong. It means it's right. It means you're understanding that all of the other shit you're trying is clearly not working and you need to go within.
Oh my goodness. I literally just got emotional. Is your intuition getting stronger and it's freaking you out a little bit? Are you seeing repeating numbers everywhere and you don't know what it means? Do you feel or hear things, but you don't know how to make sense of it? Do you know the law of attraction is real and feel shame when you have a negative feeling? Abundant and Aligned Society is a support and accountability group for those beginning their spiritual or healing journey and are just waking up to their powers and clear abilities. Go to Niajae.com for more information on this membership that offers sound therapy recordings, guided meditations, journal exercises, and more to help you avoid the pitfalls and maintain alignment as you raise your level of consciousness. Connect with me if you are ready to gain clarity and start vibrating higher. Yeah, I totally agree. I actually do sound therapy at a rehab facility. And I think that going to rehab is taboo. And you have this picture of people that are just like, kind of like bums and just like low life people. But these are like business owners. These are like parents. These are people that are like, I have a problem and I am seeking help for it. And I think that is way better than suffering in silence and hiding your problem or denying that you have a problem. So I know that's a lot more extreme than just regular therapy, but it's still, how how many people have substance abuse problems that are not being seen for
Of
it?
course.
So
Yes. Yeah. And doesn't that make you a little fucking nuts? Like it drives me a little bit crazy because we have created a world where we judge and we judge ourselves so harshly. And there's all these stigmas, right? And ultimately, we end up perpetuating the addiction or the negative habit because now the individual has so much shame around it, right? They don't want to acknowledge. And it's like, no, because you know what? Nobody's born with addiction. Okay. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, shopping, eating, whatever it is, right? Everyone has a thing. Whatever happened to you when you were younger is what influenced the addiction, is what influenced you to say, I need to do this so I don't feel my feelings. I was so hurt. I was so abandoned. I was so rejected. I was so abused that instead I'm going to protect myself and I will do this so I don't have to feel the things that I have yet to acknowledge, right?
numbing. Yeah. Numbing.
Yes, right. So we get to, especially for all of us that are visionary leaders, thought leaders, healers, coaches, it is your core responsibility to release this stigma in every opportunity, in every exchange. Share what you're doing for yourself. Share your truths. Share what you experienced in your life. That's the gift.
Yes. So your book, what's the name of your book?
Worthy human, because
Worthy
you're the
Human.
problem and the solution.
I love that. So what does it mean to be a worthy human?
It means to finally be done playing the I'm not enough game. It means that you can leave this world. There's two worlds that I observed, two camps before I wrote the book. Camp one is this shrinking, hiding, I'm fine, don't worry about me, it's okay, I don't need it kind of downplaying of self because you don't believe you're enough. And then the pendulum swings completely in the other direction into this over assertive, condescending, don't let them see you sweat, overly resilient version of you that is an effort to assert yourself into being enough, which is still the core of I'm not enough. And what I identified is that there's this gorgeous centered space where you simply are enough. We don't have to shrink. We don't have to over assert. We can simply come, live, and embody the space of, I woke up today. I'm worthy. I'm enough. Full stop. Right? That's what it means to become a worthy human. We all have work to do. Right? Everyone, because if you're breathing, you had wounds, and those wounds developed as some iteration of I'm not smart enough, tall enough, good enough, I'll be rejected, I'll be abandoned, I have to control things to be loved. All of these different variations that I can spew out because I've helped so many women now that there are only so many themes. No matter what you've gone through, and I want you to hear this from love, you are not so special that you're alone. Right? You're unique in 1 in 400 trillion, and the fact that you're here, and we're going to embody that and embrace that. But it's not like, but my situation, no, you just don't understand. I do understand, because there are thousands of other women who have experienced exactly what you've experienced. And it's important that we lean on that as well for that kind of connection and common humanity. So when you finally believe me, like, okay, I'm worthy. Just think about it for a minute. Like your whole day frees up. How you show up changes. You're willing to use your voice and set boundaries and be more intimate in your relationships and pitch yourself to the stage and write the book and actually invite people into your offer and do all of and lead a team and feel pride instead of guilt and all of these things when you're not questioning your worth anymore.
Yeah. So I believe that there are so many layers of self-worth, and I want to say that I probably hung out in the overexertion space for a while because I attached a lot of my business success, or attached like the fact that I'm like always creating something new, and like so much of my self-worth was tied up in my business and how much money I was making. And it was a really powerful thing. It's probably simple to some people, but it was a really powerful thing where I said, what if I decided I didn't want to work and I wanted to raise a family, and I'm not working, I'm not running a business, I simply want to raise a family? And that was like gut wrenching to me. Like, I don't know why, but like I was the way I was raised, all of my programming, always have your own, be independent. So much of my self-worth and identity was tied up in my business. I'm like, what if I just decided I didn't want to run a business anymore? And that's totally fine. Who would I be? And would I still feel worthy? And it was a huge, huge, huge thing for me. Like, I had to sit with that for like a month.
Yeah. So you know what I love about this is that gives you an opportunity to recognize that at that time you were not believing in your inherent worth. Because when you understand that your worth and your enoughness is a fixed part of your birthright, then you understand that it is not negotiable and it cannot be influenced, which means who you are and what you do is irrelevant to the fact that you're worthy. You could be the CEO at Amazon, doesn't make you any more worthy than the stay-at-home mom with 6 kids. That is the core point of understanding worth, truly understanding, right? You are here, you are listening to this podcast, you woke up today, congratulations, you're enough. You cannot do more to become more enough. You cannot do less to become less enough. And I know this is weird, and I know this is foreign, and I know that there's part of your mind that's like, yeah, this lady's crazy. Because the patriarchal world we were brought up in was everything but that. It was the more you do, the more valuable you are. Multitask, go faster, add more things on. Is your to-do list long enough? You probably need another to-do list. The more stressed you are, the busier you are, that really tells me that you're doing things in the world. You must be super valuable. I should know you. And you guys, it's fucked up. And it has to
Yes.
stop.
Yes.
It has to stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So think about that. If you're like, wait a minute, okay, I believe in my worth, then you could go, I'm going to raise a family now because my business is not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We can, and we do this a lot and we must stop. We conflate it, right? We get very, very conflated and confused. I'm not my business. I own the Lit Factor, but I'm not my business. When I'm pricing my programs, I'm not considering myself. It has nothing to do with me. It's about the value of the service and the transformation you get when you choose to work with the Lit Factor as a company. When I'm a mother, right? If I just I have 3 teenage daughters. If I just lost my mind on one of them, I'm not less enough in that moment. I can reflect and go, wow, Trey, you could have been calmer. What are you going to do next time? But I'm not harping on myself, right? In terms of like, oh my God, I'm a terrible mother. And that's because I do the work. I'm a practitioner of my work.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing. We internalize so much, and we allow external things to affect and impact our self-worth. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's continuous work. It's not like, okay, I know I'm worthy and then that's it. Like it is continuous work that you have to keep doing. Yes.
Yes, yes. And I love that you say that because there's this weird thing that happens when you start any personal growth or healing, whether it's sound healing, right? Or deep mindset work or hypno, whatever you do, there's this weird thing that our minds do that it's like, okay, I joined a program. I should be fixed now. Okay, I did some sound healing. I should be done with this now, right? But you would never do that. Like if you said to me, I want to be my health and wellness best, and I want to be able to like do 20 push-ups, and I want to be able to lift X amount, and I want abs. You would never dare go to the gym for 3 weeks and then call me and be like, where are my abs? You would never do that, right? Because we have a different understanding and a different paradigm of it. The inner work, that's why I keep saying, and I am truly spreading the mission of your purpose, not your passion and what you do in life, your purpose as a spiritual being having a human experience is awareness and healing and growing and expanding, right? Knowing that it is a journey and not a destination. And that's the beautiful part, because one of the first things they teach you in coaching school is a principle of if you're not growing, you're dying. Which at first I was like, huh? And then I got it. And I was like, yo, because if you're not growing, healing, working on yourself, right? Just really like, even if it means, and I'm not talking about like, you've got to be busy and working the work and you need to wake up at 4 a.m. and have a 3-hour morning routine. I actually am like the antithesis of that. But just to be able to allow yourself the space to truly work on you, and whether it's stillness and just saying, oh, I'm going to be more conscious. Right now, I'm working on like really slowing down in terms of even as I do things, like go slower as I move, go right. And I'm noticing new things that I never noticed before. And I've been working my work. I'm a different woman every year, you know? So it's endless and it's awesome.
I love it. So tell us about the Lit Factor. What is the Lit Factor?
The Lit Factor is my personal growth and coaching company. My Lit is my real last name. Thanks, Dad. I give him all the credit in the world. I can't own that. I just was given it. So the Lit Factor is a personal growth and coaching company. And inside of the Lit Factor, I speak to corporate entities, to nonprofit organizations. I just finished doing a mindset training call with the company called Spark, which helps, underprivileged entrepreneurs in other countries, up level. I also created Mind Magic, which is the core. It's the leading personal growth program for leaders and entrepreneurs, women. So you can come into the Lit Factor and do that. We have the elevation experience, books. It's the entity that everything that I create and offer lives underneath. So Lit Factor is the company.
I love it. I love it. I love everything that you do. It's absolutely amazing. So I want to wrap up with one final question.
Oh, yay.
What are your top 3 tips for living an abundant life?
Believe in your inherent worth. Stop fighting against it. It's the lies and the upbringing that make you want to fight against it. But the fundamental truth is, when you are born into this world, you are born like, imagine your baby self. You're pure, lovable, significant, worthy, you matter, delicious. You know, and it's just like shit happened all over you and around you, and it's kind of covering you up. You know, if you've never heard the story of the Golden Buddha, go Google the story of the Golden Buddha, because underneath all of that muck is the truth of your worth and enoughness. That's the first thing. The second thing is, pay attention to how you respond to the success and growth and up-leveling of the people around you. Because you will notice, if you're not an instant, oh my God, yes, girl, you just got that. That's so amazing. Oh my God. If you're not an instant rallier, right? And you're not like running up to like high five and like spread the word and share their stuff, that will reflect back to you that you have abundance work to do. Because what that tells me is, somewhere in your belief system, you think like there's not enough success to go around. Consciously, you might be like, well, that's not true, Tracy, but it is, because your behavior reflects what you really believe, right? We can talk a good game all day long, but who are you being throughout the day is going to give you that real, indication. And finally, allow yourself to forward into the version of you that you're becoming, right? Into the woman that you're becoming. And that woman knows the truth of her abundance. She is wealth in every facet and area of her life. She understands that there's more than enough to go around. And as a result, she carries herself differently and she acts differently. So be her for a moment. And whatever she would do as it pertains to abundance, go do that. And you will watch it generate quickly.
I love it. I love it. Great tips. So where can people find you online?
Yes, everywhere on social media, I'm at The Litt Factor, and that's lit with 2 T's. So it's LITT, and that's Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then of course you can come to thelittfactor.com and find me and all of the great stuff, starting with whatwouldSheDo.net. It's a free 3-part audio training where I actually take you to go meet that next level version of yourself. And then you do some work around who she really is to you. And I teach you how to let her lead.
And you do amazing retreats too. You have one coming up.
Worthy Human Live. It is the premier personal growth event for female leaders and entrepreneurs. It is 3 days, and I'm in awe of what these women do. They come in and they look like this version of themselves, and they leave and they are actually different. It's amazing.
I love it. And you're someone like you're in there, you're connecting with them on a deep level. It's not just like a retreat where we're going to share our intentions and then
yeah, no,
and that's it. But you're like in there doing the work.
I am. I spend more time off the stage than on it. I am usually sitting on the floor in front of you, holding your heart, letting you share and release, right? We go in, it's a lot of workshopping. One of the things that I've become known for that I'm very proud of is I give you the how behind the hype. I break down all of these enigmatic personal growth concepts from these big pioneers who we love, and I make it practical and actionable. So you can, first of all, it makes sense. And if it makes sense, you're going to fire new synaptic connections in your brain, new neurons together, and you're going to learn something. And then when we give it to you experientially and practically, now you're going to transform as a result of it. So we do the work for sure.
I love it. I love it. I love everything you're doing. Thank you so much for taking time out of what I know is a busy schedule to come on the show. This has been absolutely amazing. And I know people are going to find a ton of value in it. So definitely go check her out because she is doing amazing things. And I can't wait to connect with you and experience one of your retreats because I know I have like Gabby is going. And so I just know there's a lot of powerful women that are just soaking up all your goodness.
Yes. I'm so excited too. I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me. And I'm excited for us to deepen our relationship. It's amazing. We're very lucky.
Yes.
Very lucky.
All right, M&Ms, until next time, be decadent. Thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. I would love to hear from you. Leave your comments and questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our yummy episodes. Every time you leave a 5-star rating or review, I do my happy dance.